Hey, I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. Please hit like. It really helps me and helps support my channel. Here I've got a very, very old Elgin pocket watch here I was working on a week ago. I had assembled this and the problem I found as I was removing the little strip of Rodico I put in to help me put the pallet fork in is that one of the jewels was loose. So one of the jewels on the pallet fork was a bit loose. I'm like, oh my God, I've got to disassemble this whole beast again. So I did that. This watch has had a myriad of problems, if that's a word. Marriott is also a very good hotel, by the way. But it's had tons of problems. And I've just been beating my way through all these problems one at a time. The last one here has been the pallet fork being the jewels being loose on the pallet fork. So thanks to Sonny Morehouse, who runs Amateur Watchmaking, I made myself some liquid shellac. This is the liquid shellac here. This viscosity is extremely low, I think the word is. Anyway, it's very thick. You can correct me for you chemical engineers out there. It's still very thick, but it works really well when I dip a needle into it and pull it out. So I did that. I put that on the pallet fork. I let it dry for a couple of days. It was still spongy. The needle still sank into it, so it didn't harden. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do? I got out a soldering iron, and all I did was put the soldering iron near the shellac, the liquid shellac, and it melted almost immediately. It went like this. That's the sound it made. And then it solidified. So I did that on both stones, right? Both jewels. Flipped it over, added some more shellac to the other side, liquid shellac, and I went and did those as well. So now the jewels are in there really well. Let's hope that the position of them is perfect and everything runs well, because that would be my next problem if I have a positional error on the jewels. So let's just assemble this watch. I still have to poke around to make sure all the pivots fit into the holes. I won't do that on camera, and I'll be back. So before I jog the holes, I'm going to place these screws loosely in place. That way the plate doesn't jump off. And I did triangulate these screws in my tray, so I knew which one goes where, because I'm very anal retentive. So I did that. I put them in the tray so I know which one is in which position. I do have to put a glove on, and I need to get a little bit closer to my work here, and I think I need a bigger screwdriver. I don't want to screw this up, as they say. See if I can get this in. There we go. Now these are new screws because, as you recall, on this watch, 2 of the 3 screw heads were broken off, and I had to get the screw shafts out of the holes, which was quite the job. So it's been a challenge, this watch, to get going again. When I received it, I thought it was just going to be a cleaning with a few problems, but it has been a myriad of issues. Again, there's that hotel, the Marriott. Hopefully they'll give me some recognition for mentioning their name occasionally. I don't know if I can put this screw in because I think that it's rocking, which means one of the pivots is not all the way in, so I'm going to leave that screw out while I find the pivots and jog them. And I use this tool here to jog the pivots inside. I have to lift this up to do that. I have to look and see what I'm doing, so I'll be back. All right, this was unbelievable. I just moved one pivot and all the rest of them fell into place. I was like, oh my God, this is such luck. So I'm going to tighten these, but not completely. I don't like tightening everything down until I know that it is absolutely in the right position. Now, I'm not going to re-oil these holes because they've got lots of oil on them already. So there's no need. This watch is also going to need to be demagnified because I could tell that either the watch or the screwdriver had a magnetic field on it. So that's that there. So that's pretty good there. And I can sense that everything is kind of working its way around. Now I still have to take out that piece of Rodico that's in the middle. And it was holding the pallet fork from the top. So if I show you this, if I tilt it too much, the mainspring is going to drop out. So I'm not going to tilt it too much, because I don't want the mainspring to drop out. But here's the piece of Rodico. If I get in here and grab this. There it is there. And that Rodico is used to hold the pallet fork up, because on these full plate movements, you have to you've got to put the pallet fork in on the top and get the mouth of the pallet fork through this opening here. And then you have to basically make sure that the pallet fork is between the banking pins, which are here and here, and everything is aligned perfectly before you can take that out. Otherwise it'll drop out and you'll never get the pallet fork in place. It was a good little trick. I think I invented that. I'm not sure, but I think so. But what I'm going to do now, I'm looking at all the pivots, and all of the pivots are through the holes, which is perfect. And I would love to flip this over, but I'm not going to yet. I'm going to put the plate for the mainspring on. I drew where it's supposed to go, where these screws are supposed to go, because again, one of the holes of the mainspring, this hole right here where the mark is, this hole right there, I had to actually shrink the size of that hole to enable the threads from the hole to grab. So that was a big issue, and on the plate. So I did that, and it worked. So the threads grabbed nicely. And I want to make sure that these screws go back into the right position, although they are the same screw, I know that they work in these positions. So I'm not going to fart with that if I know it works, right? So I'm going to put these screws back into place here, and then I'll be right back. All right, that was 1 millisecond, right? So I'm going to put these screws into place here. I want to make sure the threads are in the right position, so I can feel a little bit of resistance there, so that's not right. This is right. So if you feel a bit of resistance and keep going, you're going to strip the threads, and you don't want to do that. So you want the threads to be in good working order. There we go. So those are all the plates in. I'm going to tighten these down a bit. And the other thing I did is I got a new chair to work with. So I bought myself a really nice chair, and it's got arms that get out of the way. So you could say it's a gaming chair, but I don't think it really is a gaming chair. It's a pretty impressive, and it leans all the way back so I can be sloppy. I'll have to show it to you after. And and it goes down. So right now it's down, so I can do watchmaking work, and then I pop it up for meetings and other things. So, and I have gone back to work. So I just decided to go back to work and help on a program. I work in aerospace, and so there we go. There, everything is good. Now I'm going to wind this up just a bit and pray. This is the praying part. So I'm sticking the bench key into the side here, and then to wind this watch, you got to push it in and then turn it like that. So it's winding. Now the praying part is when I go inside the, use a toothpick here. I can use pegwood or a toothpick, but I want to go in here and see if the pallet fork moves. Alright, the pallet fork is not moving. I don't like that. So I have to now look and see what could be wrong with the pallet fork not moving. I'll be back in 1 second. So the pallet fork is moving one way more than the other, like it's snapping on one side and it's going slowly on the other side. So I'm going to check and see. There may be some dirt or something on the jewel surface that's causing this. So I'm going to look under the microscope and see if I can find something that might be wrong. I'm not sure how this happened, but the jewel on the pallet fork is once again crooked or sideways just a bit, and that's what the problem is. So I've got to disassemble this once again. Here we go. So I'm stripping this watch down again to have a look at this pallet fork. It's pissing me off, I'm telling you. This thing is becoming a real pain. The jewels are shellacked in. I didn't see them at an angle, so I'm not sure what's going on here. I may have to start from the very beginning with these jewels to reset them, but I do have shellac on both sides of the jewels, which should have held without a problem. But for some reason, unbeknownst to myself, the jewel wants to be sideways. Let me have a look at this. Pallet fork jewel shellac configuration system. So I'm going to look at this again under the microscope and see what the problem seems to be. So I'm going to try to adjust the jewels by holding a soldering iron in this device here, which is basically a vise, and I've got it in there right now. And then I've got the pallet fork in this tool here, and this is made for holding pallet forks, I believe. And I should be able to then put this close to the soldering iron, which will loosen the actual shellac, and then I should be able to move the jewels accordingly. Yeah, I can see that this one jewel here needs to go down. I try not to burn myself when I'm doing this. So I was able to adjust that down, but I think I went down a bit too much, so I'm going to try to move it up now. That looks really good. And I'm not sure whether the other one needs adjusting. I'm going to look under a microscope and see if this other one needs adjusting. So the answer is yes. This other one could go up a bit. Again, I'm trying to do this without burning myself. And I'm going to look under the microscope. So that is good now, and I'm going to check the hardness of the shellac before I reinstall here, just by using a very small screwdriver, and under the microscope I just want to press down on the shellac just a bit to see if there's any movement of the jewel or the shellac. So, and I'll just turn the camera just a bit so you end up getting the full picture here of what I'm trying to do here. So I've got the jewel settings in here. And the shellac is solid. So that should perform better. If it doesn't, I've got a whole other problem. So let's just reassemble and see what we get. Just for the sake of the video picture, I'm going to put this part, I think I'll just use a block and put the block behind the part and see if the camera will focus on it. It will. That's good. Now I'm going to use I'll just use a white background on this tray maybe to see if this works. There we go. Or the back of my hand might actually be better. Or the microscope. And just a little tip for you, when you take parts out of the watch, out of these vices here, just let them drop. So just open it up and let them drop. If you try to move them with your fingers, you're liable to put excess force and maybe break the part itself. So that's not a good thing. So once again, I've got to take this plate here, and I'm going to put my glove on, but I need to actually maneuver. This goes small end down like that, and I've got to put this would go like this, small end down and inside of here. So I got to sit properly to do this. So I'm going to lower my chair a bit. This doesn't go as low as my other chair went, which is a shame, but I think it's probably low enough. And then I just need to put this in like this. There we go. And we're going to hope and pray that the jewel settings are going to work. The jewels as they're set are going to work. So I'm going to pick out a very small piece of Rodico here and do what I did last time. I may need to use 2 tweezers to do this, but what I do is I take this Rodico here. Just extend it just a bit. And I want to go on the side of the watch plate where the other gears are not. And just simply place this down here. Like this, and then over the top. If I can get it to stick on the other side, wonderful, but if I can't, then it should work fine. There we go. And then I'll just move this over just a bit. I think it's good just like that for now. It's inside the banking pins is what you want, and now I can put the plate down, but I've got to put some gloves on to do this. Now once again I've got to see where I am here. Once again I've got to put this plate back on very carefully, and with any luck it's not going to be difficult to align the pivots again, because that's always a pain, especially on these full plate watches. Remember when I first started doing this, how I was freaking out because every time I tried to do it, nothing would fit. You know what? It looks like the whole damn thing went in with one shot without me tweaking anything. So that is a first, folks. So I'm going to just put these screws down lightly just to make sure I'm not lying to myself. So I hope everybody's having a great day today. Please comment on my videos. I love the comments. I work hard to bring you what I think is quality watchmaking work. I've been doing this for a long time now, and I have been very successful repairing watches that look like they didn't have a chance. And I've been able to repair every watch I've ever worked on. This one here has been one of the more challenging watches I've ever worked on. This one here and the FrankenWatch from a gentleman that still writes me. And the FrankenWatch was also a beast. I had to make jewel settings for that watch, and it was causing all kinds of problems. But that was the one that required all kinds of repair. What I don't understand is how some of these watches can require so much repair. And they're really, another watchmaker has had to have grabbed that watch, grab this plate here, and worked on it and kind of ruined it. I'm going to put a little bit more. No, there's oil on there. I can still see the oil on there, so just want to make sure that everything's fine here. And again, once again, I've lined these up. I made a silly little cutout there so I could remember which screw went in which hole. So it's, again, I'm going to tell that same joke of how do you become a millionaire fixing watches. You start as a billionaire. That's my wife's joke, I think. I'm not sure who told us that joke the first time, but it's so true. After you've invested a lot of money in tools and everything, tools and time, because it is a hobby. If it's a hobby, that takes a lot of time. I just want to make sure all of the pivots, everything looks flat. Yeah, I got a gentleman at the door. All right, I'm back. Someone dropped off a very beautiful watch for me to work on. And because I love you people out there, I just have to show you the movement. And you can comment on it, let me know. I'm going to look this up. There it is. It's a 23 jewel movement. Turn the light off here just so it might show better. There we go. It says grade CCCR. So I'm not sure if this is CCR, used to be the railroad, I think, but grade CCCR. And you can see the name. I have to figure this one out. It's adjusted to 5 positions. It's got, the only problem it has here is there's a screw missing. So it's got a jeweled barrel, and there's a screw missing from the jeweled barrel. I can likely find a screw to replace that. But it runs, and I'm going to clean this, disassemble it and clean it. I'll make some videos on this, but if you want to look that up and see what it is and let me know, go ahead. There's a serial number on the bottom there, 3225844. So anybody out there, like Sonny perhaps, give me a hand and look this thing up. You can take a screenshot of the name, but it's it looks like it's BRANDT, and the and symbol, and then FRERE, and then SA. SA, I believe, is Swiss. Not sure. I'll look that up anyway. But it's working, so that always makes me nervous. So I'll put that away and continue working on this watch here and get this going. All right, very interesting watch that I'll be soon working on. Just tighten these plates down here. And I've already tightened this down, so we're good there. Now I got to put a little wind on it and see if it fixed the problem. Did it fix the problem? And of course, like I said before, a little praying would be nice. All right, 6 winds, and are we in business? Not yet. Oh, I need to remove the Rodico. That chunk of Rodico. The watch won't work really well with a giant chunk of Rodico stuck in it. Let's remove the Rodico and try again, folks. There, I got to snap one way, and can I get it to snap the other way? All right, it seems to be snapping both ways now. I'm going to have a look inside to make sure the jewels are flat and we're good to go. Yeah, the jewels actually look really good. So the only test now is to actually put the balance back in and see if I get good results. And the other thing I want to do is add some 9415 to the jewel, to the faces of the jewel, which make it glide a lot better. So we'll add some of this to it, and I got to get a different pair of glasses on to do that. So both sides are snapping back and forth really nicely now that I've added that oil to the jewels. I added it actually to the escapement wheel as opposed to the jewel face, and it's working very well now. So now we're going to reassemble the hairspring and see if everything works here. And what I should have said is we're going to reassemble the balance complete, balance cock, balance, and everything. And we'll see if everything works. All right, now for the moment of truth. Let's see if I can get this thing to tick. Will it tick? Will it tick? Let's see, which side is the pallet fork on? If it's on this side, I've got to enter it from this way, which it should be fine. Will it tick? Move it from here. Will it tick, or is there something else? Come on, I know you want to tick. See, maybe if I put this in, the alignment will be right and she'll start ticking. I feel like it wants to tick, but it's refusing to tick. What could it be now? Oh my God, this watch is the FrankenWatch of FrankenWatches. It should be ticking freely, but it seems to be stalling right there and stopping. I'm just going to keep working it. The best thing to do is actually to hold the watch and start rotating it, and maybe it'll get through the problem. But I've done this before, where you just do this. And if this doesn't work, then I've got to take it apart again and try more stuff. Oh. It's starting to tick. There's some evidence of ticking going on. I just need to get this thing worked in. Come on, you can do it. Work yourself in. It looks pretty good there. Will it continue? I think I'll put a little bit more power on the watch too. It's ticking right now, which is good. Seems to be a centering there that it stops at. And I think I need to demagnetize it as well. That might be the issue. If I put a magnet over the top of it, what do I get? What do I get with a magnet on the top? There doesn't seem to be a lot of noise from the magnet. I'm going to hold it upside down too and see if it's... Well, darn it, it may be the position of those stones in the jewel. So I don't see the escapement wheel doing what it's supposed to do. Well, folks, it's highly disappointing, but that is the game. It's also very, very hard to test with a full plate watch. But I don't think the jewels are releasing, or one of them isn't anyway. I'm going to have to get at this. I'm going to stop the video now, and I'm going to disassemble this once again, and I'm going to get right to the pallet fork once again, and I'm going to see if I can adjust the lock and unlock of the pallet fork. I think that's probably the problem. Yeah, because this is a big problem. Seems to that, or maybe the banking pins. I could try to adjust the banking pins slightly, which might relieve it. So let me try that first. And if I look at the banking pins in there, and I look at where they are when the wheel goes around, yeah, I think I'll try moving them inward slightly, see what happens, and maybe, I think outward is probably the direction they need to go in. But somebody might have farted with the banking pins years ago. And that would cause the problem. I need to get the right screwdriver though and move these. Well, I'll adjust these and see where I can end up. I'm convinced now that it's not the banking pins, it's the jewels, and they're not set right. It's going to be very difficult though, because I don't have a jig to set them right, but maybe one of the jewels looks like it's out too far, and I could try moving that one back, but I've got to re-shellac it and everything else, so I'm going to just cut this video off right now. Alright, update. So I'm looking at the impulse jewel on this, and as you can see, it's sticking out in the back, and it's probably not the right, it's basically at an angle, and it's probably not in there right. So I think I've got to remove the roller table and address the impulse jewel. It's got an angle to it, which is not normal. So that's the next issue with this watch, because it is clicking or ticking back and forth. The movement itself is snapping back and forth. So then it's got to be the impulse jewel. Maybe it's the wrong one or something, but there is an issue with it. So I'm going to have a look at that. Alright, I'm not sure whether it'll work or not, but I'm going to take I took the pallet fork, put it in my staking set, and I'm going to put a stake over the top of it as well, just to keep this steady while I heat this up here and try to push the jewel back. We'll see what happens here. Alright, some live recording here, and let's see what happens. Alright, that jewel looks like it's tucked all the way back. I'm going to have a look at it from the other side and then clean it up. I may have to re-shellac it as well. And that's level, which is nice. I'm going to burn myself, I know it. Alright, that jewel is seated all the way back. So there's no problem there at all. Let me put this back in the hole here. It looks level as well, so I think that is good. Alright, now I'm going to take one of my finer screwdrivers. Alright, where is it? I just need to get one of my finer screwdrivers. Maybe the white one here. And I want to hold this steady while I see if I can just scrape some shellac off the top of that. Alright, that's pretty good right there. And now I'm going to do what I did before. Make sure that jewel is level. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to touch it with some Rodico in case there's any leftover flakes on here. I'm going to take some liquid shellac again. Hope hope you're enjoying this really long video. Remember, you can always move it back or forward or back. And I'm going to take this and put a little bit of liquid shellac on this jewel. Alright, and then the soldering iron, I'm just going to heat it up for a second, and that'll solidify the shellac. Oh, I think I'm going to put a little bit more on there. It's tricky stuff, folks. Tricky stuff. Okay, I got a giant blob of shellac here. I don't want to put all that on there. Good right there. And I do want to make sure the jewel doesn't have any shellac on it at all. I think that's good. We'll know in a second, because I'll just test it with the needle and see if there's any play here at all in the with the shellac. Give it a good shellacking. No, that's solid now. And I'm going to flip that around. Let me look at the jewel and see if, make sure that setting is, yeah, it's good. Then I'm going to flip it around. Have a look at the other side really quickly. And I'm going to put a little bit of liquid shellac on the other side. A tad worth. Sorry about the length of this video, but you know, if you got nothing else to do on a Friday night, this is the one you want to watch. I know there's a string there that doesn't make any sense, but I think if I melt it, the string will go inward. Hopefully. I need to probably get a soldering iron that's a bit smaller. There we go. That should do the trick. Now I'm going to have another look at this to make sure the jewel's flat. I pushed it all the way in, so there shouldn't be an issue anymore. And I'll check the face Yeah, there's nothing on the face of the jewel either. I think that's in there solid. All right, I think I'll just try it out and see what happens. All right, I got to put the piece of Rodico down here just to keep this supported. I'm having a harder time than I'm normally having doing this. That should do. I'll keep it on. And then I wonder when I put it down, will it all fall into place like it did last time? Likely not, but who knows? Who knows? I don't have the finger cots on, but I'm holding on to the edge here, so not super concerned. No, there's going to be one wheel or something off here, so I'm going to have to nudge it. All right, nudging's done. I can see all the pivots through the holes, and these screws are sticking out, so I should be fine. How many times have I done this job here? I'll just put them all in at once here. I think this is maybe the 6th or 7th time I've taken it apart and put it back together again. And still, I'm not sure whether this will work. I'm not sure whether the impulse jewel is sitting right. It looks a bit off, but it might not be. You took a fine time to leave me, Lucille, lady. It's a shame we're missing Kenny Rogers. He was a great performer, a great artist. I remember Kenny Rogers in the first edition. I think he did Something's Burning, I think, eh? Something's Burning, I think, is love. Then Kenny did a few songs with Dolly Parton. He was just a talented guy. He died probably 5 or 6 years ago. Maybe. I got a band-aid on my finger that's making it difficult to turn the screwdriver. That's good enough for now. See if everything works. Oh yeah, this has been a beast. This has been a beast. So these old watches, it looks like perhaps the gentleman I got it from didn't tell me about any other watchmakers that might have attacked this watch, but I'm pretty sure that this watch was attacked by various watchmakers over the years. And even to the degree that it looks like the parts had been stolen because there were parts missing, which makes no sense. I'm trying to put this on and the screw's not. Oh, there we go. Got it. And this is the one with the hole. I hate having to put this one on and off because this is the one where I took the hole and I actually reduced the size. And I want to make sure that there's no problem with this one. There we go. That's good there. Now I got to take the Rodico out. I think I've got all the pivots sticking out. You got to make sure that you can see the pivots before you commit. Yeah, I can see all the pivots, and I can see all of these pivots, so we should be good. So now I can put some power on the watch. Well, what I'm going to do is tighten it up a bit first, and then we'll put some power on the watch. So just need to tighten these screws just a tad. And then I'll put a bit of power on the watch first, but I need to take that little piece of Rodico out as well. Alright, 10 turns. Now if I can grab that piece of Rodico, life would be good. And there it is. Throw that in my little jar of Rodico. And let me see if this goes back and forth. Yes. And yes. Now, let me see if it works when I put the balance in. Let's have a look. This is the moment of truth once again. And I've got the impulse jewels on my side, so I should just be able to lower it here and it'll catch the mouth of the jewel. I like to actually do it from the other side when I'm holding the watch, but for now I'll just slide it in like this. And often it just starts ticking, but I think this one here needs to have the screw in for the jewels to line up. The main part for me is if the escapement wheel is moving, and I think I'm going to widen the banking pins. Now I'm going to check the bead error because it looks like it's hugging one side so much that it can't possibly snap the other way. So the roller table itself would have to go counterclockwise, which means the hairspring needs to go clockwise, I think. Let's try that out. Let's try that out. Took out the pallet fork again, looked at the jewels, pushed this jewel in a little further because it wasn't clearing one of the feet on the impulse wheel. So I'm going to try this and see if this works. Alright, I'll lower the plate again and pray. Kind of all out of praying here. This has required so much adjustment. And I'm going to tweak the gears just a bit to get this thing to fall in. And now I'm going to put the screws on the plate. I'll put a little bit of a wind on it. See if it snaps back and forth. Oh, gotta take out the Rodico. Use finer tweezers. I hope. There we go. Rodico's out. Throw that in my little Rodico bin. Now I'll see if it snaps back and forth. Yes, it does. Big time. So most likely I'm going to have to adjust the banking pins again. So I think I may have success. So let's try to put the balance in now and see what happens. Because I like that. It was fluttering back and forth, which means the wheel's turning, which means the gears are working. So I'm going to just grab this from the side and approach it from this side. And I'm likely going to have to adjust the banking pins. There's no doubt in my mind. I like the result though, the fact that it was fluttering back and forth really quickly. That means that the pallet fork jewels are clearing the feet. Oh yes, we got a little bit of life. We have a little bit of life. So the question is it the banking pins now are too wide? Because that will cause a problem. Let's see if I can bring these in a little bit. I'm also going to make sure there isn't any leftover Rodigo in there. No, that's good. Alright, let's look at those banking pins now. Make sure this is tight here so I don't drop the watch. I'm getting a little bit of action here, which is what I like. That means the jewels are clearing. I just have other issues. So I'm going to examine this even further to see if I can figure this out. Yeah, it's slapping on one side. I don't think it's the banking pins. It's hard to tell. Full plate movements are a real challenge. It could in fact be the lock-on-lock of the jewels. Let me put a little more power on this thing. It's funny, it's wanting to go. My stupid head keeps touching the camera. So this has been a job and a half to get this thing. can see the banking pins causing it to stutter. I have to check the jewels and make sure there's enough relief in there. Well, I think that's it for today. It's almost going. I'll call it semi-success because I've got it moving both sides. But I think I still need to adjust the roller pin and the dart on the escapement. So, which might get it going. It looks like it wants to go. It's working hard at wanting to go right now. It just gets stuck. Anyway, that is it for today. That's getting there slowly.